So I'm delighted to be joined by Annette Steele today. Annette is an executive coach and a previous participant on our Neuroscience Workshop. Annette, I'd be really interested in hearing a little bit about, having been on the programme, what for you has been an important takeaway as you've put that into practice.
Oh, thanks firstly, Jill, for inviting me to come along and have a chat. Yeah, so it's been really helpful to me. And I guess the main takeaways have been, firstly, understanding the science around the brain and looking more closely at the logical part of the brain, which is the neurocortex, and also at the emotional part of our brain, which is the amygdala, and how they work together or don't on some occasions. It's helped me work with clients more closely so they can understand their emotional responses to particular situations, and also how the logical part of their brain and the emotional part of the brain are working together or not. And then it's also given me some tools and techniques to work with in order to get those responses or the logical part of our brain under control, really.
And you mentioned there that that's given you some tools for working with your clients on their responses. What have you noticed for yourself as a coach in terms of your responses and the sort of the parallel process there as well?
Yeah, so that's been really interesting, Jill, and it's definitely helped me as a coach. So I think even before I move on to clients, it's helped me become a better coach because it's given me the ability to recognize my own emotional responses first off, and really help me get those in check. But also really helping me then think beyond the client in terms of what their story might be and what else might be going on with them. Now I have this better understanding of the brain and the logical and the emotional parts of our brains and how that might be working beyond the data that I might see initially with a client.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I really found helpful as well, in terms of understanding what was going on for me and then thinking about what that might mean from a client perspective.
Yeah, and I think particularly when I went into the course, I was thinking of it really probably more about what I will take away for my clients. But I think what was a really interesting thing for me was actually what I took away for myself. That's been able to enhance me in terms of my own coaching.
Could you share a couple of examples of how you've applied that learning? You mentioned that you've sort of used it within some of your client conversations, obviously maintaining confidentiality, but sort of what sorts of things have you noticed in terms of how you've used it with clients?
I use it lots, actually. It comes up all the time, really, and the circumstances might be different between clients. But quite often when a client is lacking in confidence or might be suffering from imposter syndrome, the course has definitely helped me when I've been coaching with them, the conversations that we're having. So really helping them to really understand the causes really of those reactions, feelings, and identifying how they may have occurred, and then working with them to really rewrite some of that data. And quite often the brain has ignored some of the really positive experiences and is stuck with some of these old responses that keep triggering the same kind of reactions. So really working with them, as I said, first of all, to identify what the causes have been, and then secondly, to kind of rewrite that data to then give them the confidence and to really take the control of the emotional side of the brain before it moves on to a situation where it can effectively be a self-sabotage situation. So some really good techniques that I've been able to use with clients, and I've had really good feedback from how they've really been beneficial in actually being able to really help them build their confidence, and really take much better control. And I've also used it with situations with clients who have been suffering from really high kind of stress, working in really busy environments, and then having a reaction to their workloads that might not be quite what it really should be in terms of what's been asked of them. But they've had an experience that's really now caused this level of stress, as the stress kind of builds up very, very quickly and very easily. So I've used some of the work that we did on the course to help, again, identify what's caused that kind of level of fear or panic in terms of stress, in terms of workload, and then identify some techniques to take control of those feelings. So understand the triggers and then really helping them to take control. So before they move into this flight, fight or freeze response, that they've already got the control. So I think that's been really helpful and has come up with a few of my clients who work in really kind of busy, stressful environments.
And have you been explicit when you've been working with them with all of those things? Have you sort of talked very specifically about what's happening from a brain perspective, and how has that been handled and supported by your client?
So it's been really helpful because I've used some diagraphs some of the content that we've used from the course. So it's even some basic diagrams around the brain, which I think for clients, it's helped them understand that as well, because quite often a lot of us don't have the detail of what's really going on. And it's helped them understand the connection between the different parts of their brain and the responses. So the logical side, the emotional response, and how they are working or not working together. So I think using some of the content, some of the diagraphs, some of the pictures have been really helpful. And also there's been other tools that are quite visual that we received on the course that I have used with clients, and that's really helped them understand it in a kind of basic terminology, but something they're able to kind of grasp.
So Sheila was very generous with all of the resources that she shared during the programme, but also since. So how have you been connected with Sheila in terms of sort of the ongoing support that you've received following the end of the programme?
Well, as you've mentioned there, Jill, she's brilliant at actually sharing her all of her knowledge and her wealth of materials. So she has a fantastic library, and she's very generous in sharing that. And I mean, I've started to work with Sheila actually as a supervisor post the course, because I just really found her a really good tutor, but also could see that she could be a fantastic supervisor, which she really is. And again, continually generous with her resources and information and all that she has.
Definitely, yeah. That library that sort of sits alongside her is a strong memory. She's fantastic. And we did this program at the same time, and we did it virtually, so over 4 modules. What were your experiences of the virtual setting and program?
Yeah, it was brilliant actually, because I guess quite often I think, in person first, but the virtual program worked really, really well. And she found a fantastic way of connecting all the participants as well. So it was over a course of 4 half days, but we felt a real close bond by the end of that program, which I thought was really fantastic, considering we were never in the same room. And so the way she structures the program really helps you find connection with other members on the course and actually work really together in terms of encouraging each other, gain as much as we can and helping each other. So yeah, I found that the virtual course was brilliant.